Female CEO told a black single dad, "Sell me 3 hours tomorrow night." He was stunned by what followed. A cold autumn breeze swept through the downtown streets as people hurried home from work, but one sentence stopped an entire sidewalk in its tracks. A successful female CEO stepped out of a sleek black car, walked directly toward a tired single father carrying grocery bags, and calmly said, "I'll pay you whatever you ask. Sell me 3 hours tomorrow night." The father froze in disbelief. Passers-by stared. Some whispered. Others assumed the worst. But none of them knew that those 3 hours would change not only 2 lives, but an entire community forever. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of hope, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to the channel Heartwarming Tales for more inspiring stories. The man everyone had been watching was named Tavian Brooks, a devoted single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Zuri, after losing his wife several years earlier to a sudden illness. Life had never been easy since then. Tavian worked long daytime shifts restoring antique furniture, often taking extra repair jobs to cover rent, school supplies, and medical bills left behind from difficult years. Though exhausted, he never complained. Every evening he made sure Zuri finished her homework with a smile, enjoyed a homemade dinner, and ended the day believing tomorrow would be brighter. The woman who had approached him was Marcella Voss, the founder and CEO of one of the city's fastest-growing design companies. Newspapers described her as brilliant, disciplined, and nearly impossible to impress. She had transformed struggling businesses into thriving success stories, yet behind every achievement was a quiet loneliness. Her demanding career had slowly pushed relationships aside, leaving her surrounded by accomplishments but very few meaningful connections. When Tavian cautiously asked why she wanted 3 hours of his time, Marcella simply smiled and handed him a business card. She asked him to meet her at the city's old community arts center the following evening after work. She promised there would be nothing inappropriate, nothing dishonest, and no surprises that would compromise his values. Though confused, Tavian agreed. Something about her calm sincerity convinced him to trust her. The following day passed slowly. While sanding a weathered oak table in his workshop, Tavian couldn't stop wondering why a wealthy executive would seek out an ordinary carpenter. His co-workers joked about secret business deals and hidden fortunes, but Tavian ignored the speculation. His only concern was arranging childcare for Zuri so he could honor his promise. As the sun began to set, he arrived at the aging arts center. The building showed signs of neglect. Faded paint peeled from the walls, cracked windows let in chilly air, and the once vibrant auditorium looked forgotten. Yet inside, volunteers quietly prepared decorations, tables, and handmade artwork. Marcella greeted Tavian warmly and explained everything. Years earlier, before she became successful, Marcella had attended free woodworking classes in this very building. A patient instructor had believed in her during one of the hardest periods of her life. Those lessons had taught her discipline, creativity, and confidence. The instructor had recently retired, and the community center now faced permanent closure because of declining donations. Marcella wanted to save it, but she needed someone who understood the value of craftsmanship and family. After watching Tavian repair broken furniture with remarkable care during a neighborhood festival weeks earlier, she realized he was the perfect person. The 3 hours she wanted were not for business negotiations or publicity. She wanted Tavian to help restore the center's most treasured piece, a massive handcrafted wooden stage that generations of children had performed upon. The following weekend, donors, families, and city leaders would visit. If the stage remained unsafe, the building would likely close forever. Without hesitation, Tavian rolled up his sleeves. Working side by side, he carefully repaired cracked beams, replaced damaged supports, polished worn surfaces, and restored the stage's original beauty. Marcella worked alongside him rather than watching from a distance. Volunteers noticed the CEO carrying tools, sweeping sawdust, and listening carefully as Tavian explained each repair. Respect grew naturally between them. During breaks, they spoke about their lives. Tavian shared the joys and fears of raising Zuri alone. Marcella admitted that despite financial success, she often felt she had forgotten what truly mattered. She admired the quiet strength Tavian displayed every day without expecting recognition. By the end of the evening, the stage looked magnificent. Warm lights reflected from the polished wood, making the old auditorium feel alive again. Volunteers applauded, but Tavian believed the evening was over. Then Marcella surprised him once more. She revealed that she had already committed funding to renovate the entire community center. However, money alone could not rebuild its heart. She offered Tavian a paid leadership position directing woodworking workshops for children and struggling parents during daytime community programs that fit around his existing schedule. His patience, kindness, and craftsmanship, she explained, were exactly what future generations needed far more than expensive equipment. Tavian stood speechless. For years he had dreamed of teaching others, but financial responsibilities had forced him to focus only on survival. This opportunity would allow him to earn additional income while sharing skills that could change lives. Months later, the once-forgotten building became one of the city's busiest community spaces. Children proudly built birdhouses, bookshelves, and toy boxes. Parents learned practical skills that opened doors to new careers. Local businesses donated materials. Volunteers multiplied. Families who had never spoken before became friends through shared projects. Zuri loved spending afternoons watching her father encourage nervous beginners with the same patience he had always shown her. She often smiled as she saw people leave the workshop carrying not only something they had built with their hands but also renewed confidence in themselves. Marcella visited regularly, not as a distant executive but as a volunteer mentor. She discovered that genuine fulfillment came not from impressive titles or financial reports but from investing in people whose potential had simply been overlooked. The unexpected request that had once caused whispers across a crowded sidewalk became a story repeated throughout the city as an example of how appearances can deceive and how kindness often arrives in the most surprising forms. 3 ordinary hours had sparked extraordinary hope, proving that when people choose compassion over assumptions, entire communities can be transformed. Special request: if this story touched your heart, comment below with, "Kindness builds forever." If this story inspired you or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales so more people can discover stories that bring hope and encouragement. In the end, Tavian realized that the greatest opportunities sometimes arrive disguised as confusing moments that test our trust. Marcella learned that true leadership is measured not by wealth or influence but by the lives we choose to lift along the way. Together they reminded everyone that compassion can restore more than old buildings, it can rebuild dreams, strengthen families, and inspire generations to believe that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to create a brighter tomorrow. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: when we give our time with an open heart, we often receive far more than we ever imagined.